Okay, welcome to the Citadel. Yeah, welcome to the Citadel Radio Show. Um, welcome to the Citadel Radio Show. So it's been a while since I've made a video. Sorry about that, but there's not been too much interesting for me to talk about or speculate about. So there's not really been much warrant for me making videos. But there's a debate. Oh well, not much of a debate, but I saw someone make a post about the Timeless Child arc and how it diminishes the 11's regeneration into 12. And someone not understanding how the Timeless Child arc impacted that. So I just want to go through at least how I interpret the two arcs. So at the end of Matt Smith's arc, we are supposed to see it's supposed to be the end of the Doctor's regeneration cycle. The Time Lords have 12 regenerations, 13 total, including their original regeneration. And Matt Smith, even though he's only the 11th Doctor, because there have been, events that's happened with previous Doctors, he is the 13th regeneration, which means that he's got no more regenerations. This is the last Doctor. And then events happen in the episode. I'm not going to go into specifics if you haven't watched it, but he ends up being given a whole new set of 12 regenerations, another 13 lives, starting with Capaldi, number 12, and going on to currently David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa, when their episodes release later this year and the start of next year. Now, since that's happened, we've had the Timeless Child arc, where it turns out that the Doctor is from a parallel universe or somewhere. They were found at the bottom of a wormhole or portal or somewhere, and their adopted parent took them in and cared for them, and then eventually found out about their ability to regenerate, because at that time none of the Gallifreyans had the ability to regenerate. So they then did experimentations on the Timeless Child, took the regeneration and put it into the Gallifreyans, making Time Lords. So then they had to wipe the Doctor's memories, because the Doctor worked with the Time Lords, and then events happened which caused them to have to wipe their memory. I'm guessing the Doctor no longer stood for what the Division stood for. So because the Doctor would oppose the Division, they had to wipe their memory, so then the Doctor would work with the Division again. But as we've seen in the show, that did not go to plan. Now, because of this arc, we find out that the Doctor isn't from our universe. We don't know where they're from. The whole idea was to bring more mystery into the character. But the problem is we also do not know how many regenerations they have left, or in total. So we've seen that they have had at least like a dozen lives before before William Hartnell was the first Doctor. We don't actually know how many there were before William Hartnell, and we don't know how many there are going to be after William Hartnell. There is an infinite amount before and after William Hartnell, so we don't actually know how many regenerations we have. So it's fair to say that they have an infinite amount of regenerations until proven otherwise, which means that any variation of the Doctor can exist. So that brings the question, if the Doctor has an infinite amount of regenerations now, technically, since we have not been given a limit, then what happened during 11's regeneration? How come they were out of regenerations and needed the Time Lords to give him more another regenerative cycle? What I believe, this is sort of my headcanon, this is how I've worked it into the story of the show to make it work within my head. There could be, a retcon or a story arc later on which should help explain this. I highly doubt it, but there is a chance. So I believe that the Doctor did have infinite regenerations, or they were not at the end of their regeneration cycle, and they were only withstanding their regeneration unconsciously because they were led to believe that they only had 13 lives, 12 regenerations. So because they got to the end, or because they were at their 13th regeneration, they let themselves grow old because they believed that that's what they had to do. They believed that that's what their course of their character was. They've had their 12 regenerations, he's on his 13th life. It's time to now start the process of ending the character. So then, why did the Time Lords need to come in? I think it was more because the Doctor did not believe they had any more regenerations left, they could not access the ability to regenerate. So it was sort of more as a jump start for the Doctor to regenerate than an actual renewal of the regeneration regeneration cycle. Because as we know, the Time Lords know that the Doctor has was not from Gallifrey, and the Doctor, had the whole time as child arc. They know that, but they kept it a secret because that's what Time Lords do, apparently. So it's the whole sort of flea in a jar situation. If you put a flea in a jar that can jump higher than the jar lid, it will. But then when you put the lid on and let a few generation cycles go through, eventually the fleas will, keep hitting their head and learn not to jump that high. And then when you remove the lid, even though they could jump higher than the jar, they won't, because that's what they've been, led to believe. That if they jump higher than that, then they'll hit their head, even if there is no lid. So because the Doctor even though the Doctor, has technically an infinite amount of regenerations, they believe that that is their last one, and they needed some outside force to jumpstart it, to, give him just the start of regeneration energy, like we've seen him do with other characters throughout the show. So that's my explanation, or at least how I've come to figure out how the two conflicting stories work together. Hopefully this helps you understand, or at least help you come to your own conclusion. If you have any questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments or contact me on Twitter. I'll leave the information for my account in the description. Other than that, I need to think of an outro. I'll see you all next time.